Oh, hello, everybody. Thought I could get a sip in there.
Whoops.
Baby. Welcome to the Overly Critical Hyperanalytical Movie Club. I'm your boy, Wolfie, as always. In this new entry, as you can hear, we have a gaggle of, what, I don't know. We got, as
your
always,
own Justice League.
We got Matty. But tonight we're also joined by Andrew and Ben at Superhero Stuff You Should Know podcast.
Indeed.
That water didn't go all the way down. And we're here. We're just chilling. How's everybody doing this evening? Thanks for coming on.
No problem. I got my black Superman suit. I've got no cape. I've got longer hair. I look closer to the comics than Henry Cavill did in the movie.
That is true. That is actually true.
Your whole wardrobe kind of adapts to these different DC eras.
I kind of have to, yeah.
Pretty useful. I guess, yeah, that makes sense. As you know, at Superhero Stuff You Should Know, everything at this juncture has been like DC-oriented, Superman, Snyder, DCEU stuff. I was formerly a host on that show as well before I went off to build this pirate ship out of blood, sweat, and tears.
Mostly tears.
Mostly tears.
If you know anything about making a podcast online.
Yeah. I was just talking beforehand about how I opted for the live format and stuff, so I don't have to edit anything ever. So I just tried to make it look as good as possible. So thanks for joining and coming to watch us bullshit for, an hour, no more than an hour. Actually, we're doing the Zack Snyder Roundtable, so
we're going 4 hours.
Hour by hour. We're going to break it down frame by frame. I'm just kidding. We're here.
Those are already out. Those videos are already out.
We're just gonna kind of go around. I got a few sections of sorts to kind of steer us around on track, but we're kind of just gonna keep it loose and have a discussion about what worked in the film for us, what didn't work for the film, favorite parts, favorite things, basically spoilerific from here on out. If you have not seen the movie, I could understand you probably not a comic book fan or whatever, or maybe just really don't have 4 hours to spare. I know what that's like. That's an entire day. Sometimes it feels like for me when I watch this movie, it was like not just a few, it was the whole fucking day.
Yes.
Somehow I didn't stop too often for breaks or anything. But anyway, the fuck was I talking about?
I think this movie called Justice League.
Yeah, Justice League, right.
Something happened recently.
About 4 hours.
Small independent movie.
Take another drink real quick.
So we're here. We got Superhero Stuff You Should Know hanging out. We also got our first comment of the night, CC Handle, a roundtable with room for more. That's right. If you want to join us in the conversation as we go chatting, join us on either YouTube to leave a comment, or if you're at our Facebook group, the Overly Critical Hyperanalytical Movie Club, then you can also jump on the comments.
You can highlight a comment on this thing?
Yeah, bro.
Man.
Andrew, for sake of production value.
You're really selling this idea, man.
Maybe, yeah.
Wow.
I see some similar shows in the
tricks.
future.
CC Handle Roundtable, with room for more. So I think go to StreamYard.com /Facebook to allow it permission to use your profile picture and your name if that's something you'd like to do. Otherwise, it'll just come up as Facebook user or whatever. So thank you, CC Handle, for your first comment of the night. This is our Justice League Spoilerific Roundtable. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in here with initial thoughts. And since it's a roundtable, we'll just take turns and go along this here cube. So, Matty, go ahead and spill the beans. I know there's a lot you wanted to say you didn't get to last time.
I can't wait.
I'm so excited. I know.
And also, I just want to inform the audience, I'm going to try and live post pictures and stuff as we're talking. So if I seem distracted or not listening, I definitely am. I'm just trying to man the helm here. That's why I brought on 3 people. Anyway, go ahead, Matty.
I mean, I've only seen it the one time. I was going to try to watch it again before we did this, but like Stefan said, 4 hours is a lot to take out of your day. And I just couldn't sit in my room. It's not the best day in Seattle, but I needed to get out and do some stuff for myself. And so I still like this movie. I've talked with people about it at work, and most people seem to enjoy it. I've seen some stuff online that people are just like still bad, and I don't It's like, you really watch this version? You spent 4 hours watching this, and you're like, still the same as the Whedon cut? I don't believe you. You only watched 1 hour of this and said I got better things to do, which is fine. But I disbelieve that you could watch a 4 hour movie and be like, it's just as good. I hate it just as much as the Whedon cut. I get it. If you hate Snyder, you're just going to hate the whole movie. So don't watch it. But I can't even compare it. Like, I don't know. I still love it.
Yeah, no, thank you for saying that. I think that was well stated. I think I don't get it because I was one of the foremost critics, I think, within our movie group for a while, or at least in our chat. I was talking mad shit on this forever, and like totally turned around, totally impressed by what I saw. So some of that kind of like seems a little bit like small dick energy to me.
Whoa!
Wow, you said it, man.
Ben, how about yourself?
I've been waiting for this movie for 14 years, in a way. Now, that may seem weird because I'm just like, wait, Snyder has been trying to get this out since 2017, and he didn't start being part of the Man of Steel DCEU since 2013. But when I say that, I don't mean since 2017 or since even 2012 when Avengers hit. I mean since 2007 when the first rumors hit that, hey, they're planning to do a Justice League movie. And people back in 2017 laughed at the idea because they thought that they were planning to do Super Friends. And 2007 was right before Dark Knight was coming out. Right. So obviously they wanted Batman realistic. They wanted him in what I have not so affectionately call the black tennis shoe suit in the Dark Knight trilogy. So they didn't want Batman. They thought, oh, Batman in space, that's dumb. Never mind the fact he's been part of the Justice League of America since 1960, and you've got comic fans who think Robin's unnecessary, and he's been there since like his first year in comics. Right. So, there's a certain idea of Batman that doesn't actually quite match up with what's in the actual comic book history. But to me, I love this idea of a team up movie with Batman, a human standing toe to toe with gods against like these major threats, and that idea excited me to see like how he holds his own against them through his smarts and his intellect and his leadership and his own flaws and how that gets in the way of it. Mm-hmm. I also wanted it to be a different Batman from Christian Bale because I felt that his throat cancer voice would be a little comical with Superman and Wonder Woman along with the tennis shoe suit. So I'm just like, okay, like it would have to be a completely different Batman. So I got excited for the idea of Justice League Mortal at the time. And then we all know that didn't work out. And then 2009 Watchmen hit. And I remember watching Watchmen and thinking, I wonder what this would be like if this was, even though I know it's not a Justice League movie, but I wonder what this would be like with this type of attention to just character and world building in a dark Justice League movie. I didn't imagine that it would happen. I just thought, okay, that'd be cool. And then in 2012, the first Avengers comes out. And while it's cool to see the heroes come together, I'm not personally attached to the Avengers beyond the movies, so it's a cool thing, but it's not the same thing as seeing Batman with the Justice League on screen. Mm-hmm. And I also felt that while the movie was fun, it's meant to be light on character and theme outside of the theme of coming together. And I really thought if they're going to do a Justice League movie, I would hope that it's something a little bit more weighty to it. Nothing against the first Avengers movie, but in terms of personal preferences, I would like it to have more weight to it. I felt like Age of Ultron was kind of an attempt at that, but the plot itself was a mess. But it was at least an attempt to add a little bit more to the characters on that. And then Infinity War kind of just felt like a really long prologue to Endgame. And so Endgame to me is the most satisfying of the Avengers because I finally got that weight to it. But it took like 4 movies to get there for me personally. When we got to, we got Zack Snyder doing Man of Steel. I was like, okay, great. I saw it. Wasn't the biggest fan of it. You guys can check out our podcast to see how I've turned around on it a little more and appreciate elements of it, but I still agree with a lot of the criticisms. Similar thing with Batman versus Superman in 2016. I wanted to like it a lot more than I did. And again, we have a whole series on that. So I wanted to look forward to Justice League, but I was just like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And, there was talk about we're going to make this more traditional. And I was like, even Zack Snyder at the time, I was like, this is going to be a little bit more in the traditional take of the characters. And I thought maybe this will turn out well. And then the tragedy happened with his daughter. Joss Whedon is brought in. And at the time, we don't know what we don't know now. So I'm just like, well, it's a shame Zack didn't make his movie, but I guess it makes sense to bring in Joss Whedon for this. And obviously I was wrong because You know, we have a whole 3-hour episode of us talking about how generic and forgettable and lame the 2017 cut is. And
You hear that, Josh?
Yeah. Where we were just like, this is the Justice League movie. This is the most underwhelming thing ever.
Yeah,
you know,
it really
Avengers
was.
just annihilates it. You know, any Avengers movie is better than that one. You know, I'll take Ultron over that one. And the release of Snyder Cut movement came out, and I was initially one of those who was also like, it's probably just the same, just longer and darker with some cooler ideas. It's probably better, but I don't know if it's that much better. And then, you know, I think I said in one episode back in 2019, I was just like, I don't really care if it releases. It's not going to change anything. And obviously, that was before I found out it was cut. All the behind the scenes stuff, what happened with Ray Fisher, that dark side was going to be part of this. That Cyborg was not really the heart of this, any of those types of things. And when I decided to revisit the Zack Snyder movies beforehand, I sort of got a better idea of what he was trying to go for in re-examining Man of Steel and BVS, even though I still to this day agree with a lot of the criticisms with like the death of Jonathan Kent, Structure of Metropolis, the next snap. But I never had anything against Snyder as a person. I just didn't really agree with the ideas, but it became more apparent he was a guy who was like screwed over by the studio. Yeah. And to me, when I started watching it, I was like, it's probably going to be better. I was like really excited for something that I might not have been as excited about in 2017. And it struck me just how much emotional weight there was to every scene of this movie, just right from the beginning. And I had criticized Snyder is somebody who's sort of has great intentions, but his execution sort of kills it sometimes, whether it's a neck snap or a jar of piss or Martha or any of the type of stuff where you're so distracted by that you don't get to appreciate the intention sometimes. But now execution and intention were one here. Right. There was no mind-numbing, like, why did you do it that way type of feeling. There was no feeling of overly edgelord. He's only doing this to be dark sort of feeling to it that people got from the previous ones. And it was, as Ray Fisher, when he saw the movie, he described it as a feast. And that's what it felt like. It felt like a feast for DC heroes, a celebration of DC as a universe. And I didn't realize that. And that's exactly what I wanted, but from a source that I didn't expect. So I definitely loved it. I felt like I've been waiting for it for a while. Definitely got emotional at points. And just to cap it off, to whoever put spoiler clips on YouTube, fuck you. Because I did see like a thumbnail of Martian Manhunter's cameo on the front page. I was not looking for it. It's one of those things where it's just like you go to youtube.com and they're just like, you might be interested in this. And I'm just like, no, like I haven't even seen it. So yeah, go fuck yourself.
Nice ending thought there.
We're an educational program here, and
there's some language.
Many lessons to be learned.
There's some language in this thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think especially very grateful for the time that he had to make this version of the movie. And I think that there's probably a lot that, you know, because of his life changes and everything that went into how deliberate this movie felt to me. And, you know, like maybe I'm fucking dumb, people who are out there saying it's garbage, but I thought this was like a total redemption of what we've been saying about Snyder for so long, those of us who've been huge critics of him. Andrew, I've been dying to hear your thoughts on it. What do you got for us, buddy? How did you feel? How do you feel about it overall? Like, what? Or initial thoughts? We're still in initial thoughts. My bad.
Well, I liked it
overall.
Moving on.
I mean,
all right, Stephen. What do you
I'm very glad for that. I'm happy that you are happy.
Yeah, it's, you know, when Snyder said Cyborg, he tweeted at one point that Cyborg was the heart of the film, and I kind of didn't believe him whenever he tweeted it out. And it turned out that was the case. And I'm just surprised how good and fleshed out that whole storyline was. And I mean, the only like minor knock is just like it's long, but it's like you got like, you know, a whole like humongous cast to set up. So it's like, what can you do? You know, they don't have like the 4 movies that Marvel had, right, to set up all that shit. So he does it all in this movie. Like, go ahead.
And I was gonna say, you could look at, you know, 4 hours, break it up. Nobody's putting a gun to your head, man. It's 2 movies, you know, more or less.
Yeah, and it comes to streaming, he separates it into parts Plus, everybody binges like fucking 14 hours of shit at a time anyway these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like also like a weird reaction to like TikTok videos and YouTube videos and Instagram videos that are like real quick cuts. I wonder if that like people I wonder if there's some like subconscious reaction against that and people want to see longer stuff. I feel like I see those comments more than I used to. Like I want like with WandaVision, they're like I saw several comments where they're like I like the slow burn and like
They're like it's normal burn.
Yeah, maybe maybe like people are going against the really quick stuff to watch something a bit slower pace. Not that it was a slower pace the whole time, but it was 4 hours, so I don't know.
I mean, they did say what 10% of it is slow mo.
Yeah, that was a recent report.
I have
I
no
don't think
problem
that
with
should
that.
be taken
I
as
never
an
have a problem
insult.
with Snyder's slow mo.
Yeah.
I've
No,
never
it's
had a
great.
problem with that whatsoever. So that's not an issue for me. It's really only minor stuff. It's like it's probably nearly perfect superhero film. You know,
I would agree.
trying to find something wrong with it, but it's not a whole lot, really. I mean, Snyder really took it out of the park. The last thing I'll say, and I'll be
Go
done,
ahead.
is like Snyder, in a sense, gets away with his like edgelord kind of thing this time around a little bit because of his personal tragedy. You know, like he's an artist in a dark place making his art, and I know he's playing it in someone else's sandbox, which is superheroes by DC. But you know, he's in a dark place while playing in that sandbox, and like more than usual, and just to see what was made during that, and like how emotional it was, like in the Iris scenes, like that scene there, and then like the Flash run and and like I don't know, there was like a lot of scenes that were like really emotionally driven that didn't necessarily have to be, but still the execution was good. And I don't know, it was just like I said this in the Patreon, but I'll say it here, knowing the artist behind the art, it kind of enhances this experience too, you know.
Okay, cool. What was your absolute favorite moment of this movie, could you say? We'll get into more of stuff we liked or didn't, but I just wanted to know on a personal
the horse toss. And
that was pretty fucking great.
I
whole
love the
fight
Iris
was
scene,
awesome.
horse toss, Iris scene I loved, and Superman going to Pound Town. That's in the black suit. That's another thing. Like it's like before I'd be like, Snyder's so dark. Of course he likes the black suit, but now I'm like, you be dark, Snyder.
Heavy
You
metal,
fucking.
man.
This is what you do, baby.
You do you.
Yeah,
You
that's
do
true.
you.
What did I
This
say?
is
I
how you
likened
do
him-
it.
I likened him to like Tim Burton meets Jerry Bruckheimer or somebody. It's
Yeah.
It's an interesting, very distinct style that he has.
I also say
I'll
this
just-
is the lightest
Yeah.
of his 3 DC movies.
Could be.
True, yeah. It's more hopeful, certainly, I guess, by the end of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like Ben was saying that there's no piss jar thing from BVS. There's no neck snap. There's nothing like
why did you do it that way?
nothing heinous like that in this. It's
Right.
really really handled well, you know.
Yeah. Before we move on to like another little section that I got here, I just wanted to say my initial thoughts. Like, I really loved it. I'm going to try and stop saying like so much, actually. It just reminded me. My dad told me on the phone that he doesn't like it, so we're going to try and get him to subscribe one of these days. No, I'm just kidding. He already is. Thanks, Dad. But I loved this movie, and I started a podcast called Overly Critical, Hyperanalytical. Come on. I wanted to hate everything about it so I can be that internet nerd or whatever, but it just like having watched the first one so many times as I did, for our video or whatever.
Oh yeah, dude. Sorry
Justice League,
about
the time
that.
travel
man.
cut.
No, it was okay.
Sorry you had
It
to
was
do
a real,
that.
It was a real humbling experience because what Ben made out of that pitch really kept me going, honestly. And I saw
thank you.
the end. I saw that movie in my head and the clips and everything. But I did end up watching it so much that I was just like, "There's no, just burn it, kill it," But
Bury it.
But during the whole movie, I was audibly just saying to myself, "This is so good." It's got the time it needs to like simmer and go. I love Aquaman now. I love Jason Momoa.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
I love him, but I think I'm more of a fan now. I really, and I'm an unfair person, so I should be like, directing. There's stuff going on behind the scenes I don't know about. These guys, maybe it wasn't their best.
I'm not nice.
Just
kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
Cranky. No, it's fine. But I really went through the whole thing. I love how each character fit into the tale. I even felt for Steppenwolf. I loved what seems could be on the horizon with Darkseid and everything. I just liked that it was really cracked open, and I think I said on the last one, it felt like comic booky, but in like a really good way. And so I was totally like converted, if you say, I believe in Zack Snyder. From here, I'm excited to see what could happen in the future, and I'm excited for more of his films in the future. Next, I want to get into, we talked a little bit about this in initial thoughts, but what worked, what didn't, what are parts that stood out to you, or like you were saying, Neck Snap and Man of Steel or whatever, maybe it's not there. For me, I still have a problem with the grave digging scene. I feel like there could have been some kind of workaround here to where you don't have the Flash and Cyborg like grave robbing, essentially. It's just so weird to me, the whole scene in both versions.
But it's for the greater good.
Yeah, I'm not sure what could have been better. But
how else could they have gotten his body out?
Yeah.
Well,
you just cut. You say we got Superman's body and we're all moving along. That's what is that?
I feel
that's a couple of seconds of film I wouldn't have had to watch. Come on.
I know. Well, you got to get rid of that whole coffin shot from BVS, right? And the one where it like shakes or whatever. I don't know. They don't give him that whole patriotic burial. I guess they would, right? But wouldn't you think like some scientist or somebody would be like, slip him out the back door and that's a phony coffin? I don't know.
Well, if they knew, because he was buried as Clark Kent, he wasn't buried as Superman.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I guess I don't have any other kind of workaround in mind, but it just to me still seems a little weird. But for you guys, was there anything that, what worked for you really well? For me, what did work was, like I said just before, just the way that they approached these heroes and how all the different heroes had pretty rich backstories and things like that worked for me. And the fight scenes, the action, the effects I thought were great. The Steppenwolf's armor, a lot of people would be like, oh, it's so Transformer-y or too, like you don't know what's going on. But I actually really liked that shit when he snapped the arrows and everything. But Matty, what do you think about this question?
Oh, I mean, it's a good question. What I think that didn't work, I have little gripes, and we talked about this on our initial thing. I still don't like the way Flash runs. I don't care. Yeah. I'm not into it. I'm supported by many people I just don't like it. I mean,
to the side.
I wish it was more of like he had to do that when he had to like break the time barrier or whatever or something, but it's every time he runs, and someone's like, well, maybe they did it to set it apart from the Flash TV show. I was like, well, who gives a fuck? Just have him run normal. It's like, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
True.
Or something.
True.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like when Scarlet Witch does her like weird hand gestures. It's like, I don't really need it. Like, I feel like he was like, I'm going to put my own flair on the Flash. And it's like, just run, dude. God.
That's why.
But
fucking, what's his name? Magneto. He has just that one. What's his name? That actor?
Ian McKellen? Sir?
No,
or Fassbender.
Yeah, Fassbender. He goes like that.
So good. I know exactly what he's going to. I know exactly what you're going to do.
He doesn't need. He just goes like that.
I know exactly what you're doing right now, Stefan.
Okay,
that's Magneto powers right there. I get it.
I have to bring it up now because nobody believes me.
I'm wearing the helmet, Charles.
And the other thing, some of the music cues I was not a fan of, but I definitely want to do that rewatch. I think. I mean, besides that, though, I think when we talked about it, just when we weren't spoiling anything, I thought. To me, I started it going, I'm going to watch like 2 hours of this movie. And then it was 4 a.m. and it was over. And I said, well, that's a hell of a movie if I'm going to watch it at 4 hours straight through.
Right.
So, I mean, something else. I didn't think the cyborg suit looked that great. I definitely think it looks better than the Joss Whedon cut, but I just felt like it was really weird. Someone in one of the comments on Matt Leffert, like the Justice Squad, I think is what that site said, oh yeah, that whole cyborg moving like the lady from The Ring. And I was like, yeah, there were some weird twitchy like movement parts. I was like, that's kind of weird looking, but I don't know. I mean, even all that stuff that like, maybe would have been more fleshed out if, HBO would have thrown more money or like whatever else could have been done. I still like, I look forward to rewatching a 4-hour movie again. A Zack Snyder Justice League movie, which I never thought I would say after like my problems with like Man of Steel and like Batman versus Superman. So even saying out loud that I want to watch a 4-hour Zack Snyder movie is kind of like, whoa, where are we? What happened? Or 2021?
So it's still really 2020. And the CERN portal was opened up, and we are. This is our real reality. That whole last year, apparently. I learned this on TikTok, by the way. Is didn't happen the way you think it did. Anyway,
of course
that's
it didn't.
Other episode for another day. But I agree with what you're saying about Cyborg. Sorry, were you going to say more?
I just wanted to say one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because you asked Andrew, but you didn't ask any of us what our favorite scenes were. So whatever.
No, that's this section. Here you go.
So I really love the scene where Superman is standing there, and you hear Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner's dialogue from the Man of Steel, and probably both Man of Steel. So, yeah. So and I just
dialogue recorded,
I don't even know all the insides and outs of this, but I just thought that scene was so good. And I remember just getting getting that lump in my throat, and I was like, oh, I remember that, because I rewatched Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman before I went into this, just as a refresher to see if I still felt the same way about those films, and like hearing that dialogue over him coming back from I loved it. I love that shot so much. And I'm sure there are other great action scenes. I loved when Darkseid shows up I love all of the Nightmare verse stuff. I don't care what anyone says. I've read things that people are like, it's ruined the movie. It doesn't make sense. I'm like, I don't give a shit. It's cool. I want to watch that movie. But I love all the Nightmare stuff. Those are my favorite parts of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Nice. Hell yeah. I agree. One thing I was going to say about Cyborg is I liked how he moved, even though it did look a little weird. Sometimes I like how he played to this whole idea of him being like a monster, and he had a very like bestial kind of body language going on. I thought that was cool, but I do see what you're saying for sure. Benoit, what worked, what didn't?
As I said before, emotional weight. This is the most emotional, the most heartfelt. There's a heart, there's a soul to this movie, not just with Cyborg, but just in general. There's an element of hope that I think seemed to be teased in Man of Steel, and I think probably was intended to be hope for the future, not necessarily a hope provided in that movie. But it's here, like it pays off. The whole idea of like they will join you in the sun is kind of brought to life into the end of this when he's standing beside the rest of the heroes in that shot. So I'd say that absolutely worked. To me, my favorite parts were probably the parts where I got the most emotional would be two major ones. One being Cyborg helping out that waitress with the ATM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
was like once you say that, you're just like, okay, I'm in for a Cyborg movie. I was never like that interested in a Cyborg story or anything like that. I had seen him obviously in Teen Titans and the previous.
Kind of sneak up on you with that one.
Yeah, and then Doom Patrol as well. And then this time I'm just like, oh, okay, like there's again emotional weight. Like once he does that, you care so much about him and his relationship with his dad and what his dad has to do, and all the entire subplot that was cut from the Justice League version with him and his dad is just absolutely
Justice League.
Perfect.
Wait, what did you just say? Is that
that's what it's called? That's been going around since 2017.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Justice League. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So because he cut pretty much all the people of color in this movie, whether it was reducing the Cyborg stuff or taking out Cyborg's mom. Cyborg's mom in like 2 seconds, you already get her bond with her child. Like she's like close to tears in the stands, and you just feel that. And I was just like, this is incredible for a character who has like maybe 2 minutes of screen time. It's incredible. You already feel the bond. Fantastic performance from Karen Bryson on that. Ryan Choi, we got an Asian person in this. And it's great because he's funny. There's potential because he's the Atom in the comics. So there's potential there for him being a superhero, but he's cut. Martian Manhunter wasn't in the original one. Harry Lennox, who had been in the previous movies, was also not in this one, in the 2017 version. So when they all come back in ways that sort of contribute to it. Though I think I'll get to this in what didn't work, but I think Martian Manhunter was a little tacked on. But considering that his stuff was all part of the reshoots, I got to give some leeway to the fact of what was going on behind the scenes.
Right.
So that was one where I just got really emotional. The second one was definitely, to me, The Flash going basically resetting everything towards the end, where I was. And it's not like I've never seen the Flash time travel. You've seen it in the cartoons. He does it all like every season in the CW Flash. And there was something about this version with the Ezra Miller one where it just felt and it hit different. It was the way that it was done. The best way I can describe it is breathtaking to me. And I almost never use that word. But for this time, it really was just seeing everything. Thank you, Keanu. And I was like, oh, instead this was replaced by him going Dostoevsky in the Justice League cut, and I'm like, I'm like, what the fuck? Why did they cut this? There's some stuff that I think they could have been added to make it even hit harder, but that was the first scene that I went back and rewatched once I was done with the whole thing because I just couldn't get enough of it. It's my favorite track of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the big things that didn't work. It's a little unfortunate that the one I like the most, that I want to rewatch the most, is the longest at 4 hours, whereas everything else is a lot shorter.
Everything else feels like a prologue to this really big arc of comics or something,
Yeah.
It's like, maybe they'll get him in the actual
Let's see. In terms of I don't necessarily have stuff that didn't work so much as stuff that I think could have been explored a little differently or better. I guess the only kind of a plot hole that Andrew and I discussed at one point was the fact that when Superman gets the black suit, he goes to Alfred and he's like, I'm assuming you're Alfred, and Alfred presumably tells him where they are. But also to establish Superman has super hearing, he could probably hear where Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and everyone, I think it almost would be more powerful for him to get out of the fortress. Well, not the fortress, it's the scout ship, but he comes out of the scout ship with the suit, does the flight, gets powered up by the sun. Then the next time you see him is with the axe coming down, and he's not impressed. So I thought maybe that could have been a cut that we would have benefited from a little bit. I guess part of it is just fulfilling what Batman was saying about faith to Alfred, because Alfred wasn't sure. Which brings me to Batman. I think I really liked how Zack Snyder wants to explore sort of an untraditional take on Batman. I just feel like the execution in BVS could have been done a little differently to make that more effective. For here, he's basically fulfilling his arc more of now trying to regain his faith in humanity. And I also would have liked the exploration of the redemption more so than just the fact that I have faith now, Alfred. I'm okay, that's cool. But, I think we haven't released it yet, but in our upcoming recording for going into
goes over the deep end in the Batman versus Superman, doesn't he?
He does. He does until he regains that faith in humanity in seeing the sacrifice that Superman took, which is also why I was there's this close up in the beginning of this one where Batman sees Superman sacrifice himself, and I was like, where was that in Batman versus Superman? We needed that shot in Batman versus Superman because that shot means everything. That shot is him seeing, okay, real heroes exist. It ties into his line at the end, men are still good. He believes that because of what he saw. And I would have liked more, I guess, repercussions to his actions in BVS, in the fact that, we got parademons being mistaken for Batman. And I think in our recording is coming out next week. But when we went over that for our deep dive into Justice League, our guest Dustin Lee Massey brought up that that could be a reaction to the fact that Batman was branding people in BVS, and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. I don't think that comes across in the movie. I think it's just oh, there's this drawing of something that looks like Batman. Maybe it's Batman, but there wasn't really just Batman's gone evil. Batman's gone evil the past couple years due to stuff. Gordon is still kind of chummy with Batman, even though Batman's been running over people in the last version of it.
Something if everybody found out, what you know about this, and he'd be like, I've been drinking a lot. Something's not right at home.
It seems J.K. Simmons as Gordon is a lot more relaxed than he was as J. Jonah Jameson when it comes to vigilante activities. I'll talk to him about it. He's not there's So I would have liked to have seen more. There was apparently, because I had been hearing for years about a scene where Batman feels like he needs to redeem himself for having broken his rule. during the events of BVS, but that was either made up or they ended up cutting it from it because that wasn't in here. It was kind of not necessarily ignored so much as they just never explored that aspect. So I would have liked that aspect because it's like, if you are going to do that and have that in Batman versus Superman, I would like a continuation of that at least, to at least say like, okay, we acknowledge we did that, but it's to set up this aspect.
Yeah.
Um,
Right on. Here,
overall,
before we get too deeper,
yeah.
we still got more to come for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Were you gonna say something else? That's good.
I was just going to go into how some other stuff, but what were you going to say?
I was just gonna throw it to Andrew here. For
Yeah,
a
yeah,
second
go ahead.
there and get your thoughts, Andrew. Like you said, there doesn't seem like there's anything that didn't work for you in the film. Let's talk favorite characters, favorite moments, or things to you that really made the film.
I do want to say, and I'm going to bring this up, I guess, later in the thing, but in our series, but I would have liked for them to have fought Darkseid directly.
Yeah.
I know they're saving that. It's like they saved Thanos for 4, 5, 7 movies or whatever, so they're saving Darkseid. I mean, I understand it, but still, I know he gets like the one little Omega beam in the back and the flashback, but I think that would have been awesome. I was like, whenever they killed Steppenwolf, I was like, oh shit, now they're gonna fight Darkseid's last boss time, and it didn't happen.
Wait for another movie.
Metal music kicks in.
Yeah. And a little bit more Superman. They use him just enough, I guess, but I don't know. He's just like, the one of the top characters. I know. Well, they made it more about Cyborg, which is definitely the right move, but I don't know. I don't know what they could have done.
Cavill only has like 5 lines in the whole movie.
Yeah, he's only got 5 lines. I mean, he's got a lot of presence when he is there, but it's I don't know. I wish a little bit more Superman, and I was surprised he stayed in the black suit pretty much the whole time.
Yeah,
and the epilogue I think is a little bit. It's a little bit looser. It's not as tight as the rest of the film.
I agree.
And it's
what about the Joker? What is your take on that?
Dialogue was a bit too long. That exchange was a bit too long. They were having fun with it. They wanted Batman to say, "I'll fucking kill you." I get it, but yeah, that's another a minor gripe. I think it was just the exchange was too long between them.
I love.
Would you still feel that way if that was the opening to Justice League 2 or something, where it was like in a different movie, or is it just in general? Because I feel like part of it is like you're already at 3.5 hours.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm here. You want to show me another 2 hours? Let's do it. What you got, Zach?
You can't lift yourself under your own strength.
But Andrew, do you feel like it was because it's a fault of that scene, or is it just because like, okay, this really doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie, and I'm at 3.5 hours. Come on, let's wrap it up, Zach.
I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. It was just, let's just say badass shit to each other for 5 minutes straight. Which is fine. But like, he doesn't get up from sitting down, but I don't know. It's just should have been more there or something. But it was, you
wanted them in the same room together. You didn't want those cuts. We all wanted it, Andrew.
You wanted to see him flossing.
The post-apocalyptic thing there's interesting, and it seemed like Aquaman's already dead in this, and like some other like crazy shit's going on. Deathstroke's got a fucking mohawk, which is cool.
Years, those
Flash has some really cool suit now
extra hot,
that he has to wear.
Yeah. I'm a stickler with dialogue, man. For some reason,
really
I just have
that feature.
I respect the fuck out of the Coen Brothers movies and Tarantino and stuff, and Kevin Smith, because it's all about like really great, slick dialogue.
Yeah. And
sometimes I feel like I don't know, something was off about that for me.
Yeah.
A little bit, not movie breaking or anything, but it's just not as tight as the rest of the film.
Yeah. I thought that nightmare scene was going to come somewhere in the middle of this film. Me too. Batman would have that another dream when he would have that dream like earlier, and he's like, God, I really got to get this Justice League together. I cannot be working with the Joker. It's never gonna happen. So and I was like, the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, well, you just teasing me with Jared Leto as Joker? It looks like the Crow. What are you doing, Zach? And then at the end, I was like, oh, here it is. And I was like, and And I just love that world just because you never see that like that team up, or maybe you have in a comic. I haven't. But I loved it because it was so different, and I want to watch that movie like really bad.
Yeah. I liked it a lot. I think, what was I going to say? You were just talking about something. I totally forgot already, but that's okay.
The Nightmare, the Joker.
Move on.
What
The
didn't
Joker,
work?
The Joker, Nightmare. For me, there's just a couple things that didn't work, like that Superman burial digging up thing. But for that scene, the Nightmare and stuff specifically, that did feel really cool. You know, like what you see the memes going out that was like Nightmare Squad. And one thing I wanted to point out about that, I don't know if you guys already knew about it, but I watched me some new rock stars breakdown, and they were talking about how Joker gives him the card, and they're making this deal or whatever that Batman's not gonna try and kill him until something or other with the card. I totally can't explain it as well as Leto did.
The card signifies the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's that in Cyborg's vision of the future, right before they wake Superman up. There's that whole thing where he's floating with the cowl, and you see like the card fly across the screen, and it's ripped.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, I think Zack even, it's kind of like a Hail Mary pass this movie. So whether or not he gets a sequel,
Right.
is remains to be seen. But he's planting these seeds in your head of this story, kind of both past, present, and future. So it's really interesting world building, and I think that's one of the things I like to go to these kind of movies for specifically, is that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can also see the Joker card in BVS. There's no close-up shot in it. It's a very subtle Easter egg type of thing. But yeah, which is always a weird thing when I saw it. But I think I like how it's explained in this. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think for the Nightmare stuff, so like to me, the movie's over once there's the shirt rip. Yeah. Like that's kind of the end of the movie. Everything else is just sort of setup for movies that we may or may not see. And I'm fine with it. I might have maybe moved that all into like a part 8. Maybe part 8 is the actual epilogue, where it's just like, okay, you can watch this if you want. But it's kind of like it's here because you're fans of Zack. At that point, you're watching because you're fans of Zack Snyder and this vision, and you just want to see more of it. It's not necessarily essential for the rest of the story. The Lex Luthor Deathstroke scene is clearly to set up the Affleck Batman movie, which Joe Manganiello continues to keep spilling the beans on, and I'm gathering notes for our upcoming episode on that. So thank you, Joe, for that. And then the Nightmare scene,
Joe. Yeah,
the Nightmare scene is obviously for Justice League 2, because Justice League 2 was supposed to be in this Nightmare timeline, and then the Martian Manhunter scene is a similar one, which I believe is a variation of what the original post-credit scene was supposed to be.
Yeah.
On there,
I've really enjoyed that meme also going around where it's like, we'll use the old ways, and it's like using hashtags to get what the fans want. I'm paraphrasing the meme here, but you get it.
It does. I guess that raises an interesting discussion in terms of just like, okay, releasing the Snyder Cut was one thing, but in terms of quote unquote, restore the Snyderverse, like, is that justice, or is that too much fan entitlement? Because I'm sure there's a debate on that of just like, are fans asking for too much? Is it just like, oh, like this is not going to be enough for you type of thing? Because now you want the Suicide Squad Ayer cut. You want Zack Snyder to come back for Justice League 2 and 3. But also when you look
at the Kevin Smith Superman movie, damn it, get in there, Kevin, get to work.
Oh man.
But it's also kind of like, well, look at how things are going right now. You got Ray Fisher with all these allegations against Warner Media that kind of make their diversity casting seem like stunt casting, in terms of just like, we got a Latina Supergirl, we got a potentially black Superman. And it's like, yeah, but in real life, you're in hot water with an African-American actor as well as an African-American writer for the Superman and Lois show. So I'm like, that's not, very encouraging, as well as the fact that, even some of the more exciting sounding projects, I'm sure you guys heard about this, but everybody was excited for the past year about Michael Keaton coming back for The Flash, and Michael Keaton was interviewed, and he's just like, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, his reasons are understandable, but then it's just like, wait, so you guys did all this hype, and he might not even be signed on yet? He might not have signed anything. So
how could you do this, Michael Keaton? Go fuck yourself. That's how.
He said that his script or his sides are on his iPad, and he hasn't read them yet because he's been too busy. But He's got a lot going on, I guess.
I can't blame him though. I can't blame him because he's got other shit going on.
Yeah.
He won't sign unless he reads the script, and nor should he. Like honestly, I don't want Michael Keaton in the Flash if it's not a good representation of the Michael Keaton Batman. I'd rather he just leave it with Batman Returns, and then we just think like, oh, what if? Because it's never going to match up. If what they have is not going to match up to this anticipated return, I'd rather he just not do it. He doesn't need to do it. Keaton doesn't need to come back as Batman.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So just more power to him. If he wants to do it, then that'll be a good endorsement. But if he doesn't, then
totally.
Mad respect.
But then are we freaking out about the Flash now? And then we're like, oh my god, Keaton backed out.
I mean, it does make my excitement go down a little bit. The only thing that would bring that back up is if they replace him with a different Batman who is another, veteran actor, or if it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. If they went back to the comics on that, I'm sure he's available. So
that's true. He's like, well, Pat
well, he's on The Walking Dead.
Out.
He's Negan.
If he's on hiatus from that, no. I'm saying
still on that shit.
He's still on it, but I'm just saying if he's on hiatus from it. I mean, they're not even. Thing is, they weren't even waiting for Billy Crudup to come back as Henry Allen. There's going to be a different dad to the Flash, despite
what?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They
give me my Billy.
They just recast. They just recast him with.
Billy.
I was telling Andrew
my crewed up
that they recast him with Ron Livingston. So now Henry Allen is going to be filling out TPS reports instead.
Wow.
He's probably cheaper than Billy. I get it.
I guess, but then it's just like it just.
What was the last thing Billy Crudup was in anyway? I don't remember.
He's on the morning show, I think.
Now we're throwing shade on fucking Billy Crudup now.
I'm not throwing shade on him. Just being more stuff.
Hey,
Hollywood
he's
get
got
this
more
guy.
of a career than you do.
That's true. He does.
What's he gonna do?
All right,
we're talking about Flash.
Who knows?
If we're talking about Flash, I have seen some criticism about just like the time travel kind of being, I don't know, somebody was talking about how it was tacked on. I'm just like, not really, because like it is planted when he does the run to resurrect Superman. You see the like card come up and everything, like that's all planted there. So you know that he can do that. He just only does it for like a couple seconds as opposed to just like, trying to undo deaths and everything. You could argue it was better planted there than in Superman the movie, where Superman turns back time by going around the world. You didn't know he could do that in Superman the movie. At least in this one, you kind of knew because you saw that.
It's the magic of the Speed Force, basically.
Yeah.
Even if he did it and they didn't show us preview, like we know Flash can do this.
I mean, we know as comic fans, but I don't know in terms of just the general audiences.
If you're watching a 4-hour comic book movie, you're a fan.
Well, because there's people out there.
We don't
right
have to
now
explain
who are
it.
like, they
I think
did
it's all
that same
good.
old Superman shit. With
I think it's fine to do it the way that they did it. If I were to add anything to it, it's just in terms of fulfilling Barry's arc, it kind of feels as if it's just sort of him fulfilling kind of what his dad told him, but might not necessarily change him as a character. I'd have to rewatch to see it, but what I really like is Justice League: The New Frontier, where the Barry Allen in that kind of has an inferiority complex about being around all these other heroes and almost feeling like he doesn't belong. Yeah. So I was like, imagine if they planted that, and then you get to that moment in the movie where he gets to prove, it adds a little bit more weight to when he says, your kid was one of them.
They actually do have it a little bit because he's just pushing people in the beginning. He doesn't feel like he can fight, so it's kind of there.
He doesn't say that line, though. That's in the Whedon cut.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the DNA because he is just zooming behind people and pushing them, though. Like, I don't know. Now, after saying cuts, now I'm mixing them together.
There's that incredible moment when they get out of the tunnel and all the debris is about to fall in, and then you just see like this blue lightning just like getting rid of all the debris to save them. I was like, that's amazing. Why did you cut that? Like, there's so much stuff where I'm just like, why did they cut this?
That's true. I like him being afraid of going past, speed of light as well.
Oh yeah. I mean,
that's breaking like a universal. Neil deGrasse Tyson told us all that you can't do that. and then
Yeah.
he actually does it. So
Motherfucker, what are you doing? Neil deGrasse is like, stop it.
He's like
Barry.
on the side of the road as Barry's
Barry.
running.
he doesn't know if he'll destroy the universe
Did
or
you
not.
not
You know, he
listen
doesn't
to
really
that?
know what'll happen, but I guess he feels deep in his bones that it'll just turn back time. Like
I'm just saying that if
I
you
told
planted
LeVar
the
Burton
idea,
the same thing.
I told that LeVar Burton those things.
I'm just saying that if you had planted him being a little bit more about like, you know, he's intimidated because he's next to like a Greek god and Batman and Superman and all that, and then he's like, I don't know what my place is, and then at the end when he says that line, your kid was one of them, Dad. Like that's the moment. Like to me, that's the
cool.
moment where Barry Allen becomes the Flash.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Truly.
That's true. Yeah.
He's not called the Flash in the movie, but that's where he really becomes the Flash. Is that moment where he saves the universe? Really,
Well, I
Thanks,
like
red guy.
he saves the universe, and mind you, there's no scene where he tells them that he did that.
yeah,
At
no
no
one
point does
knows
he
what
ever
the
take
Flash did. No one knows what the Flash
He doesn't
did,
say,
yeah.
"Hey, I had to go back," and he doesn't. There's no scene of that, so it's implied that Barry does that without any thanks, without any credit. without ever saying
Superman's
anything.
like, did I die again?
So you're saying he's the greatest hero to ever live? In actuality,
He's Grant Morrison's favorite. The Flash is
Is he an
Grant
Omega
Morrison's
meta?
Really, I didn't know that.
He said that in his book Super Gods.
Say that again. I missed it.
Nice.
I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but there's just a lot to the
Tangent
Flash.
time.
It's the Flash.
No,
It's the
what'd you
Flash.
say? I did.
Grant Morrison loves the Flash. It's his favorite. He says it in his
Okay,
book
okay,
Super
okay.
Gods, which
I'm
is
surprised
about
he hasn't written more of that.
the myths surrounding or the how superheroes are myths, modern mythology and shit.
Right. It says
Yeah.
Hermes kind of goes deep.
Yeah, I listened to the
DNA.
audiobook years ago
Ah,
Nice.
okay.
on that
Yeah,
one.
check that out.
That
Yeah.
guy's great. You know his chaos magic stuff. It works.
Everybody
But
says that.
But the universe is very specific, so be careful. You know when people say be careful what you wish for? It's not so much be careful because something bad could happen. You'll get what you wish for.
Right.
But it's take care in what you intend to manifest, bro.
This is definitely a tangent.
That's
What's the reason behind you wanting that wish?
That's my superpower.
That's really where it comes from.
Right. Well, you know, you want it for some reason, you know, whatever it is. Like this place I'm in now, it's exactly what I wished for from my previous location.
What, a black hole full of toys?
sounds amazing.
Pedro
Yeah.
Pascal made that happen for you.
Somewhat. I'm losing a light here, and you know, I'm losing a light here, and so it was cooler looking an hour ago. But I'll be sure to charge
shit,
my batteries.
man.
Anyway, yeah, that's a whole tangent. But it's a superpower. You're talking about Grant Morrison, that magic stuff. I believe in it. And so anyway, that's a whole other episode for.
There's probably something to it.
Some wish for the Snyder Cut. Others wish for a black hole full of toys.
That's on my other show, Getting Real with the Occult.
There's a lot of
That's
those
on
kind of shows.
tomorrow.
That's
Anyway,
like tomorrow.
One thing I want to know, Andrew, we all collectively kind of gave it a 9 out of 10. I gave it the highest rating of a 10 because I was blown away, man. I was blown away. But I want to know your Indeed score, sir.
Probably 9.5, and the only
All
0.5 to give it taken away because of the minor gripes.
I think that brings it to a full-blown 10, baby.
Yeah.
We're rounding
I don't
up.
think technically, but we'll
we have to
we'll
redo
go
the
with
math on that one.
It's
Yeah.
like 9.75.
it is probably something like that at that point. Yeah. So wait, I want to know real quick. Not that I mean, this is really derailing it. It's going back to the topic.
No,
What
this is
was it
kind of the
about?
end.
What was it about this that you like so
Nothing
much,
matters.
Wolfie? Like why you don't give 10s out too often?
Yeah, I just felt like it was able, you know, it was long. Obviously,
He's getting
we keep
older.
Talking about it, yeah, I'm getting older. I am trying to make a concerted effort not to be like so overly critical anymore. You know, I'm trying to like stuff. People tell me I have a black soul and
It
things.
does make life more enjoyable.
It does.
Yeah.
If you know, and I think it is. I'm getting a little older, and I'm just like, you know, actually, they tried really hard doing that. Even I would defend people who worked on Joss Whedon's version. Maybe some of them are probably cool people. Like, man, I'm just trying to make a check, put food on the table. But
I mean, yeah, they
a
weren't
lot of
respon-
them, man.
this
Yeah, I mean, they
movie-
weren't responsible for a lot of the decisions.
Most of the people on that show.
I think there's a lot to be said, obviously, for Zack Snyder's, you know, the loss of his daughter and overcoming that and being able to like fighting with this whole movie, fighting critics like in your guys' episodes and all this stuff that went through it. Like the film, I said this on the last episode, feels kind of like a metaphor for itself. It was just like able to, it shows how it brought itself rising from the ashes back into like victory. You know, it went from being one of the worst possible superhero movies to being, I think, one of the best. And it totally, you know, I think, you know, it's, you know, Zack Snyder had that time to really put into it. And, you know, there's a lot about life that really rings true in this superhero tale that I feel like, in some of the other DC stuff that I knocked, like Wonder Woman especially, I felt like the wisdom pool was very shallow, you know, what they were trying to get at with things. But I felt like in this one, you got a ton of that. It's like a diary entry where Zack is really healing from what has happened and learning things about himself and these characters and just giving that to us. It was like a total gift.
I think, I mean, the Cyborg arc alone is worth the 4 hours.
Yep.
And
He was
like,
a
you know,
badass.
the I'm not broken line. It's like, I've been thinking about that. Like, we'll get there. This is a major preview for our show, I think, Ben, but like, it's just like, what brings Cyborg there, and you know, emotionally, it's he accepts his dad. If he can accept his dad, he can accept himself. Or whenever he sees his dad almost be killed, that's a major turning point for him. And then after that, the road to accept, he's going down the road to acceptance. And then once he can, it seems like his arc is like, if he can, once he's down that road of acceptance, he accepts his dad, then he kind of accepts where he is in his life. And it's, you know, even though I'm a person that's been literally blown to bits, I have been remade and I'm not broken. You know, that, I mean, there's just really a lot there. It carries a lot of weight. Yeah. It's Snyder fucking rules.
These are characters with a lot of pain who all come from broken families. You know, if you look at everybody, even Wonder Woman, she's cut off from her family. She's cut off from Themyscira. Superman and Batman obviously are orphans in a way. Aquaman was dropped off and, you know, his dad's doorstep, that type of stuff. Flash, you know, his deal. Cyborg, obviously. So like the idea is that they heal and come together to form their own sort of type of family, that type of thing. And I think that's why this one feels so much more helpful. I'm hopeful, really. It has a lot more of a soul because it's got that idea. And it's why you've also got almost on the side, you almost have a Batman who is moving on from his pain. It feels like at the end of this, because of the fact that a lot of his traumas come from the worst of humanity.
I just see you. Sorry.
Snyder fucking rules.
Go ahead, Ben.
With a Z.
Go ahead, Ben.
a lot of Batman's traumas come from his the worst of humanity, whether it's, you know, the murders of his parents or the murder of Robin. And now he gets to be part of the best of humanity. He gets to see that, and that's why it almost feels, again, in terms of metaphorical, like the final part with Bruce and Martian Manhunter, even if it is those a little tacked on, that was shot during the COVID reshoots, and that was shot with Ben Affleck in 2020, not Ben Affleck in 2017 when he was going through the divorce and rehab and all that stuff. This is not just a healed Batman. This is a healed Ben Affleck.
You see him in the Martian Manhunter scenes. He looks like he's 10 years younger.
Yeah, he looks definitely different than he does for the for the previous parts of the movie. And, you know, you got the sunset and stuff, and he's just a lot more relaxed. Like, part of me was just like, is this out of character? Is Ben Affleck just playing Ben Affleck? But I'm just like, if you think about it, like, it's kind of like they're trying to explore a new avenue. They're like, you know, for these characters, I guess it's kind of what Nolan attempted with Dark Knight Rises too. It can't just be my parents are dead and I got to fight crime for 50 years. It's like, no, I have trauma, but I'm dealing with it, and I'm still going to do what's right and fight for what's right. But I have ways to move on and heal based off of what the story is putting me into. So I think I love the sort of Phoenix rises from the ashes type of aspect with both Snyder and Affleck in this, and how, you know, Snyder, even though Affleck was just like, I'm not going to be Batman anymore, Snyder called him up and he's just like, hey, you want to do these reshoots with me? And he's like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because everybody wants to be Batman. Shut up, Ben Affleck.
Well, I mean, he went through the pain of Daredevil, everybody hating on that, and then this happens,
and then hating him again.
People hated him again. It's just like he probably didn't feel too great about his life, plus his divorce and alcoholism, but all at the same time. And then now it's like, you know, we got this major support online for Batfleck too, not just Snyder, and it's just like, hopefully. I mean, we shouldn't feel too bad for him anyway because he's a multimillionaire. But, but you know, it's good. It's good that he can at least, you know, feel good in his career. I guess.
Yeah. Of course.
Kind of in a way, like Iron Man kind of gave Robert Downey Jr. a redemption in a way, in this kind of way.
Yeah, that's true.
Possibly, but it's great in this instance how these mythological heroes can bleed into our lives, you know, especially like what you're saying for these two guys and what they mean to these guys or what they've gone through with these characters. It's there's, you know, I mean, you guys wouldn't have a podcast about it. We probably wouldn't talk about it quite as much as if it wasn't so meaningful to like the culture that we're a part of. I think pop culture, American culture, superheroes and shit.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's also an element where it was almost seemed like an impossible task for it to get released, and then it got released. But then the fact that it was released and it was good and it lived up to expectations to the people who had been fighting for years for that is a miracle, honestly. Because I was just like, what if they released it and people hated it? You know, like what if you guys are fighting for years and they watch and they're just like, oh, okay. But thankfully that didn't happen. And instead you have, as I talked about in the last...
Zack Snyder tweets the N-word in 2003. You're like, what? All of a sudden it's getting canceled.
I feel like you guys might like this. Ben told me this yesterday, but Snyder didn't take a paycheck for this, dude.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's fucking incredible, man.
Yeah. The money went to the VFX artists who had to... Basically, because like that was the main thing that needed to be done for this movie. There was no, you know, Cyborg was still Ray Fisher in pajamas on set. You know, they had to figure out how to do that. And sure, it might look a little iffy by the time you get to like the nightmare stuff. With the parademon, I was like, is that finished? That seems unfinished. But I was like, whatever.
Let it slide. Let it slide.
Whatever.
I'm not picky with that stuff.
If that's your main, yeah, I mean, if that's your main gripe after 4 hours, it's a pretty fucking good movie.
If the script is like this good and like it's shot well for the most part, well, yeah, it's always shot well. That's the one thing. You know, we all know we all like Marvel shit too, but like DC shit's generally shot better than MCU, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Snyder's Family is great.
You got a good point. I think you make a good point there.
I think, whether or not it comes back, if we have another Snyderverse, is really up to the powers that be. But honestly, this is kind of if this is his last one, it's a hell of a way to go out.
It is.
I'm hopeful, but also just like,
and then
it's already done. He already had his victory.
He'll pitch an Authority adaptation, and boom, he's back in the game.
The producers must have been like, "You're making this movie about a who now? Cyborg." I don't know who that is.
Josh, we're going to need you to cut all that. We don't understand it.
We don't know who that is, man.
Did you say person of Just kidding. And then they're
Maybe.
like, we got to talk about this.
We got a whole deep dive into that.
Yeah,
we know what goes on over there at Warner Brothers, guys. We
have no idea.
Brothers don't stand for brothers there. Though, never mind. It's getting too political now.
Sounds like
I hope he gets to make one more. Just Justice League. I hope he gets to make Justice League
hopefully.
2. And then that's it. And then we can move on. And the Snyderverse is done.
Cool.
I would like one more.
I agree. I'm happy that we do have what we have, and I'd be okay in deep down. It'd be all right if we didn't get this sequel. But man, it would really be cool to, you know, see this direction, see this track pushed forward. You know, there's a lot of
Ready the Armada.
It was easy to criticize the other stuff, but now, I mean, we get this sense of a complete vision. So he's a visionary. You know, people have said that. I'm not the first to say that about Zack Snyder, but I think it's true. Yeah. You know, I think he is one of those guys, you know, like him or not, he really is. He's not, you know, just like a company man. He does Zack Snyder shit.
That is true.
Yeah.
Tyrone Magnus, the YouTuber, he was talking about Superman and Lois, and he was like, looks like they took a lot from Man of Steel for this show. You know, there's a lot of shots.
In terms of the visuals, yeah.
The visuals, yes. The tone is obviously a little different. But like a lot of the Zack Snyder DNA is in those visuals, man, or Zack Snyder's DP. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I'm gonna stop there. I'm getting tired. I'm just kidding.
I'm like bored now.
Bye.
But that was a great discussion. I know there's more to come, especially on your guys' shows. Your guys' show. Go ahead and go find everything Superhero Stuff Pod at Superhero Stuff Pod on all the social medias and such.
Instagram,
You
yep.
are listening to the soothing, sensual voices of at Ben One Rider and at Thunderwolf Drew on Instagram. What else we got here? If you want to support this show, patreon.com/overly critical movie club. If you're so inclined, if you're to sponsor us in any way, there's multiple tiers there. Go check them out. They're a lot of fun. There's fun incentives to imbibe. Boy, I'm bad at words tonight.
Imbibe.
Get when you
I don't
when
do
you join up.
words.
So check out our Patreon. More to come on the Patreon. You get early access to episodes, our Overly Critical Classics, which actually just launched today. We got Overly Critical Classics. It's like a deep dive podcast style video podcast with visual aids, if you will, at our YouTube page. So go check that out. I put some decent amount of work into it. I'm learning, we're streamlining how those are going to come out, and I might break them up into parts and stuff so they're easier digestible. But Overly Critical Classics, we got our first one up. Go check that out.
Overly critical classics. That's cool.
I think I have an obsession with just like creating brands and new logos and shit. So hit me up, people out there. I do all the graphics and shit for this shebang. So anyway, if you're on Facebook or if you're not in our Facebook group yet, go join the group, facebook.com groups Overly Critical Movie Club. Check us out, get in on the conversation there. It's really fun. People have a lot of interesting questions about movies and post great stuff about cult favorites, new releases, everybody's reviews. It's a home for everybody. If you're overly critical or hyper analytical, that's where you need to be. So go join us. You can follow us on Instagram at Overly Critical Movie Club. I'm at Wolfie Cruz, as well as at Wolfie Cruz Art. Old Beardo to my left over here. Hey yo, go check his stuff out. You'll like it. We're on Twitter, Ocha Movie Club. I'm still getting used to the Twitters and our posts and stuff, so forgive me if there's not a whole lot going on there just yet. But that's where it is, and there will be. We also launched a Facebook page, and I'm kind of jumping around here. There's an official page for Facebook, so I could, I don't know, some shit with the way these sites are integrated. You have to have that to post this, post that. But the page is cool. It's basically all the media and stuff that you would get from basically all our content funnels there. The group is extra. Find our merch on TeePublic at Overly Critical Movie Club. Type in the search there. I don't have a convenient link. Actually, our links are in our bio and everything like that, so they'll be along with this. But search for that. We also have a Threadless shop. At the Threadless shop right now, I have alternative versions of shirts that are on the TeePublic store, as well as my Bounty Hunter and Alien Boy This Is the Way t-shirt. Go snap that one up. That was a really fun design to do.
An alien boy.
Yeah, that's how
Very
you gotta
good.
get around them, you see.
Very good.
Anyway, we got to thread the shop. More designs coming to both those shops. There's also masks and totes and mugs and stuff at both of them. You just got to set them up. I'm kind of lazy, so we got a few things. If you feel the need to represent the club, thank you, our patrons. We got there we go. Daniel Crozier, he's on our $3 tier. He's a junior producer of the Overly Critical Movie Club.
Nice.
Movie Club. Thank you, Dan. You are the man. Let's get more people on there and more stuff to come on the Patreon. So if you're like, I'd like to help you out, but there's not a whole lot going on here, I get it. But if you'd like to contact us for any reason, by email, overlycriticalmovieclub@gmail. Something we missed. If we're talking out on the air. If you want to check out these guys at Superhero Stuff Pod, once again, check out all their episodes. Are always really right now. A lot of DC stuff, Superman stuff, a lot of Snyder stuff. And at Ben Wider, I don't need to say it, you can read it.
It's on there.
And then nobody's telling me to shut up, so then I just keep going. Anywho, that's our show for this evening. Thank you for joining us. We're pushing it a little bit there. Thank you guys for joining us once again. We'll be back with Ben and Andrew in the future. I'll be back with We're debating right now whether we should talk about the Marvel stuff. We'll probably get into that. There's
Godzilla versus.
Yeah, Matty does the scheduling around Kong Skull Island. I'm gonna watch it.
Don't know why you left the theater, man.
Exactly.
It's true.
I'm
It
going to
wasn't that
admit,
bad.
I walked out to be like that guy. Watching me, and I'm all prideful walking out. I have something better to do with my time. I have something better to do. So I'm going to give it a fair shake. I think I was just riding high on my overly criticalness and cheap theater. So I was like, it wasn't doing it for me. We'll get back on it. But Kong, God League stuff was great. I think I got it out of my system. If you'd like more, please go see the. You guys, is there anything you guys want?
4-hour cut and compare it to the 2017 cut. Talk about why the Snyder cut is better, going pretty much from one difference to the next. And we might end up doing 1 part per each chapter, depending on how long each one takes. At the moment, it seems like that's the case, in which case it'll be 7-part series. And then we'll go into the original plans for Justice League 2 and 3 that we know about.
Uncovered.
Yeah, no stone uncovered. We're basically going to be covering a lot of the stuff that diving deep into the Snyderverse with all the different comic book connections, as well as stuff that we know that they were trying to develop that we haven't seen yet, such as the Ben Affleck Batman movie, which we'll probably cover sometime this summer to cap off this entire series. So check us out.
Nice.
That's basically it.
Yeah. I did want to say one more thing before we head out. YouTube subscribers, we got some new ones. Thank you so much. Jorge Rios or George Rios. I think I know exactly who that is. Thank you, partner. We also have Cinematic Music on YouTube, as well as Cinemax. This guy's got a really good channel where he does some cool breakdowns of different movie things. I think the last one that I watched was Movies Mentioned in Other Movies. It was really cool. Great channel. We also got Chris DeCrema, old college buddy. Thank you, buddy.
Nice.
Stay tuned. We'll pack some stuff just for you one of these days, buddy. I know what you like. We also got Tom Hoskison on YouTube there. Thank you, Tom Hoskison, for joining, subscribing to our channel. We got lots of good stuff coming. Promise you that. Who else we got here? I got who else? Devin Beaumont. Thank you, Devin Beaumont. We had a comment from Robert Sosa. Great comment. Thank you for the comment. And that's all I got for this week in terms of YouTube. Go join the YouTube channel. You'll get a shout out. And if you want to see your name in pretty lights up here, go ahead and check the Patreon. But I already mentioned all that. This is Wolfie, and I'm signing off.
Bye-bye.
See ya.